I'm back. Did you miss me? Well, it's summer, when the UN headquarters should enjoy the quietest period of time of the year. However, the recent development in Middle East has made this week quite busy. On Wednesday, requested by China, Algeria, and Russia, Security Council had an emergency meeting on the attacks in Tehran and South Beirut. Most of the Security Council members believed these are dangerous developments that might ignite the whole region and drag countries into a full-blown war, and expressed their concerns. And relative countries or countries in the region, namely Algeria, Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, all condemned the attacks. The U.S. Deputy Representative, Ambassador Robert Wood, rather blamed Iran with a cautious tone.
Israel has a right to defend itself against attacks from Hezbollah and other terrorists. That is precisely what it did on July 30, when it independently responded to Hezbollah's July 28 attack on Majd al-Shams, which killed 12 children. I also want to note that the United States was not involved with Israel's response on July 30 in Lebanon. The United States was not aware of or involved in the apparent death of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. Indeed, we have no independent confirmation as to Hamas's claims regarding his death. Indeed, every member of this council should call on Iran to stop arming, advising, and financing terrorist groups, and to rein in the actions of proxies and partners who threaten regional peace and security.
The Iranian representative to the UN ambassador Saeed Eravani replied,
"Their crimes reveal a lack of commitment to peace and stability in the region and suggest an intention to escalate conflict and expand the war through the entire region. The responsibility of the United States as a strategic ally and main supporters of the Israeli regime in the region cannot be overlooked in this horrific crime. The Islamic Republic of Iran reserves its inherent right to self-defense in accordance with international law to respond decisively to this terrorist and criminal act when it deems necessary and appropriate."
Obviously, though Secretary General Mr. Antonio Guterres is still on vacation, he followed the situation and issued a statement on these incidents.
The Secretary General believes that the attacks we have seen in South Beirut and in Tehran represent a dangerous escalation at a moment in which all efforts should instead be leading to a ceasefire in Gaza, the release of all Israeli hostages, a massive increase in humanitarian aid for Palestinians in Gaza, and a return to calm and across the blue line. Rather than that, what we are seeing are efforts to undermine these goals. The Secretary General has consistently called for maximum restraint by all. It is increasingly clear, however, that restraint alone is insufficient at this extremely sensitive time. The Secretary General urges all to vigorously work towards regional de-escalation in the interest of long-term peace and stability for all.
And my question is, from the UN Secretariat's perspective view, are these attacks violations of sovereignty? For the two attacks you mentioned, the South Beirut and Tehran, do you think they are a violation of sovereignty?
Well, we've seen the attack in Lebanon being claimed by the Israeli forces. Any attack from one country into another is a violation of sovereignty. Yeah.
Okay. One last question. You just read out the statement on the attack, the assassination of the Hamas political leader. Couple of weeks ago, the Secretary General issued the statement on Trump assassination. Said the Secretary General unequivocally condemned the attack of political violence. Why not this time?
I'm not. First of all, I'm not. Let's not compare things that are clearly in our mind different. There is a conflict ongoing in the region. We don't want to see that conflict escalate. Every action and every time there is an action and there is a counteraction. One can go back a long time to see which is the action that started it, right? What we want to see is to and we call for this, let's be honest, not with great success. After every time we see senior officials being killed, every time we see civilians being killed, like we saw in the Golan just a few days ago, we call for restraint, and it is critical that our calls, which are backed up by messages being passed on by our envoys, but that especially those member states who have influence and over all of the players in the region, all work towards that goal of de-escalation.
Also, this Monday, Sigrid Kaag, Senior Humanitarian and Reconstruction Coordinator for Gaza, briefed us on the latest situation of humanitarian mechanism in Gaza.
The famous mechanism under Resolution 2720, it's working, it's capturing aid supplies from Jordan, Cyprus, West Bank into Gaza. We're finalizing with Egypt. And as I mentioned before, the monitors are ready to be deployed inside Gaza. They're ready to pick up their visas as they have been approved. But what we need is an immediate and full ceasefire, the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages, and of course, continued access to start to meet the needs, but also really think of a future for Palestinians and Israelis alike in the pursuit of peace.
But sadly, we still didn't see any breakthrough of humanitarian operation in Gaza. And all this happened during Olympics, where there should have been Olympic truce. The fun fact is, Israel last year actually voted yes for Olympic truce. And guess what? Last Friday, French mission held a watch party in the UN, and IOC President Thomas Bach gave his statement saying that UN and IOC have a great partnership with shared value. And I also brought Phryge, the Olympic mascot, to the briefing room. Look how Steph reacted.
No props allowed.
This August, the Security Council is going to have a new president, Sierra Leone. Let's hope that August will be a cool and calm month. And that's all from me.